Hey chickies, okay, today we're doing a Holo-Ween mani. I really hope you like it. Let's get into it. This is one of my favorites. Like it seriously. Anyway, let's get into it. Okay, I'm starting off with Starla Nails Ultima, this gorgeous hollow polish. It's just beautiful. I'm going to be painting that on my middle nail. I'm doing a thin coat of it first, and no, I didn't put a peel-off base coat on. I should have, but I didn't. Although not that much of a problem for me because I don't keep my polish on for very long anyway. So if I was to have it on for a couple of days, I would have 100% regretted it. Then I'm going to add a coat of Simply Peel on the skin around my nails to protect it from the sponging we're going to be doing, because we all know that using a sponge with glitter polishes gives you a much better coverage with much less thickiness and chunkiness. So that's the whole end game, the reason why we do that. It's very important. Now, whilst I'm waiting for Simply Peel to dry, I'm going to add a coat of my homemade black sheer polish. I will link details about that in the like up above somewhere. I'm adding one coat of that to my ring fingernail, but just one. As I mentioned before, I'm then going to take a sponge. I'm just using a latex free sponge. You can use any kind of sponge for this really. And we're going to sponge on some more of that gorgeous hollow polish onto my middle nail. If you're new here and are confused as to why I'm using a sponge rather than the brush, the only reason for that is that the sponge sucks up the clear polish that the glitter is sitting in. And that way you end up with more glitter on your nail and less chunky polish. It's just basically, it's the only way to do it. It's really simple. It's literally the only way to do it. Like literally the only way. Now I'm going to be stamping over the top of this now, so I'm going to add a coat of Seche Vite, which will give me a lovely smooth surface to stamp on. I'll also be using some nail vinyls on my ring fingernail, so I'm going to add a coat of Seche Vite on that as well. For the stamping, I'm going to be using some seriously vintage stamping plates. I will put the details in the description box down below. This one is from Bundle Monster. It's a very old plate. I've had it for years. I'm getting them all out. There's so many of them. So next I'm going to add a little bit of CIRQUE Colors Memento Mori to the tip of this nail, otherwise that haunted house would look like it was floating and I didn't want that, although that would have been cool too. Anyway, no, I changed my mind. I didn't want that. I'm also going to add a little bit of Simply Peel to the top part of my finger, or around the cuticle line, because I'm going to add some more bats. The original image that I already stamped didn't have very many bats, and you can't even tell that they are bats. So I'm using another vintage plate from WINSTONIA to add some more bats to the top of the nail. Now, I got a package the other day from What's Up Nails, and in that there was quite a few nail vinyls and quite a few Halloween, or Holo-Ween as we're calling it today, nail vinyls, and one of them is a couple of bats. And as you could see from my my first Halloween mani for this year, I am really bad at painting bats, so I was very pleasantly surprised and happy to see these nail vinyls. Yeah, so I'm going to be using those on the ring fingernail on that sheer black. Now, in order to get the black polish, I'm using, by the way, CIRQUE Colors Memento Mori for this because I know that it's really opaque. I'm going to be using a sponge to sponge it on because in my experience, using a brush can tend to cause bleeding, and I didn't want that to happen on these bats. I wanted them to be, not perfect, but I mean, I wanted them to look like bats because, I have a reputation for not having bats that look like bats. Anyway, it worked out really well. I was very pleased. And I really like these vinyls. I've never used What's Up Nails nail vinyls before, so I'm very impressed. Again, details about everything I use will be in the description box down below, as per usual. Now, even though I was really pleased with the bats, I decided that this nail looked still a little bit unfinished, so I decided to add a black border around the tip and around the entire nail, to be honest, the entire nail. And I might add, I ended up painting it all with polish, which is unheard of for me. Normally I would switch out and use acrylic craft paint, and I didn't do that this time. This time I used polish. I was a brave girl, because if I'd stuffed it up, I would have had to start the whole thing again. And I was very pleased with myself. Again, patting myself on the back all the way. Now, finally, for the pinky nail, I decided to use my e.l.f. concealer brush to create a mottled effect, or like a dark kind of scungy kind of look. So using, again, Memento Mori from CIRQUE Colors over a white base. Initially, it was too dark, so I then came back in with a little bit of white to make it a little less dark. And finally, I'm adding a diagonal spider web. These are really easy to do. If you have a fine detail brush, they are really simple to do. I really hope some of you give it a go, or all of you. All of you should give it a go. It's really, really easy to create a spider web. And finally, we're going to seal it all in with our favorite top coat, and that's going to be Seche Vite, as per usual. And that's it for this one. I really hope you liked it. I love how it turned out. Really, like, I could have worn this for days and days and days. I was so pleased with it. Although, because I didn't use a peel-off base coat on that hollow nail, I'm really glad that I didn't wear it for a couple of days. Anywho, thanks again for watching. I'll see you next time. Bye, chickies. Oh, and thank you for subscribing, and thanks for that delicious thumbs up. Oh, and don't forget to watch my previous video. I say this every single time. Don't forget to subscribe. It's really important, because it is. Just believe me. Trust me. It is. Anyway, I'll see you next time. Bye, chickies.